Hello, this is Levistra, the Dragon of Cyberspace, coming to you with news, tips, and tricks within the gaming spectrum. Now, if you are like me, you love games, and you're probably, if you subscribe to my channel, you know we've already talked about this a couple of times, and we're going to talk about it almost every time. I usually don't like to cover things multiple times, but this is one of those things that news develops over time, and we will stating it for a while, because you should have the right to play the games you want to play. And what do you mean? Well, if you saw from the title, we have news that more games are going to be delisted or at threat of being delisted. And that's the thing. People started this argument with they're just banning porn, bro. They're just banning porn. Do you have a problem? Do you have a problem with that? Are you a pervert? Let's put it this way. Porn is legal as long as you're not giving it to children. Just like alcohol is legal unless you're giving it to children. You can go to jail for that, right? Corruption of a minor. And it's a slippery slope that we've seen for years as gamers, for generations, no matter how old you are. We've seen it doesn't work. And there are people that once fought against us are now joining sides. For example, I just had a talk with George Torch, who was saying that Doom or Duke Nukem would be one of those games that could be at risk. Something that I've already stated in one of my videos, especially my intro video for Levistra Plays Duke Nukem. And he said he realized that banning these things are bad. So yeah, obviously I tell him, say you don't say there's recorded history, but you know so far it seems like he has realized this was wrong, and I hope he improves and sticks with this stance, because regardless of what we believe about a game, you know, it is protected under First Amendment here in America, and it should be protected. But more so, banks shouldn't dictate how you should spend your money. To give an idea, I'm going to give a shout out to Remley's the Filipino Nerd, who shared this, because another company has decided to join fame. It was Den Family Code Gamer Japan, and it's translated from Japan. Just bear with me. I'm going to give y'all a little highlight of what's going on here. So they say it has become a big company discussion recently. Delete adult games about Steam and itch.io, impact of payment providers. GOG has launched a counter campaign, and other moves are being made at major PC stores, one after another. Regarding the above incident, the rights organization that started it revealed that it had approached payment companies, and there was a lot of talk on the internet saying maybe it was restrictions on an expression by credit card companies. That rights organization, by the way, is called Collective Shout, a collection of Karens over in Australia. So what does Australia know about the laws of your country? Who made them king? Who made them queens? I'm sorry, queens. I don't want to assume their gender. So who made them queens of America? Who made them queens of Europe? Who made them queens of Asia, Africa? They're imposing their views, their culture on everyone else. itch.io's statement dated July 24th clearly states the impact of payment providers. In addition, the site announced in a postscript dated the 28th that it is seeking contact with new payment providers. Post dated 31st announced that it would resume displaying free adult works. Meanwhile, credit card companies MasterCard announced on its official website, which we have covered August 1st local time, about the latest headlines about game content. It was titled Published Statement. Although not directly mentioned, his statement appeared to follow a series of events related to removal of adult games. In his statement released at the time, MasterCard said, to contrary to various media reports, we have never rated games or placed restrictions on creator sites or platforms, it had stated. Now, here's what I'm going to say. If that's true, then Steam and itch.io defamed them, and they can sue for defamation, which is something a corporation will do. But they haven't yet. They haven't pursued a lawsuit or anything else, which says that they are the ones lying. They're the ones trying to cover it up and gaslight. Because if MasterCard and if itch.io and Steam are saying MasterCard and all their payment processors are demanding these removals from them, then that's a statement that's literally right now harming MasterCard. I'm not defending MasterCard here. I'm just telling you the limits of free speech. And if this was false, they should have already sued them. Continuing on, that MasterCard also has legal standards in place allowing all legal purchases. At the same time, however, they say their sellers require MasterCards not to be used for illegal purchases containing illegal adult content. That's like saying that MasterCard shouldn't be used to buy cocaine at Walmart when Walmart doesn't sell cocaine because cocaine is illegal. That's literally what that's saying. So all games sold on Steam are legal, and the ones that aren't are regionally restricted to the areas that are illegal. And if they aren't legal in any area, they're not sold on Steam. I'm sorry, but under the First Amendment, all games are free speech. If you don't believe me, well, you can always look up Brown versus ESRB, where the ruling said, like Justice Scalia said, games are deserving of First Amendment protections. Continuing on, he denied the topic on the internet and social media that card companies may be unilaterally restricting expression, saying the standards are set in accordance with the law. Well, we've also covered on a video that no, that's not true. We pointed that out that in Japan, they definitely violated anti-monopoly laws. Valve explains before media that MasterCard has proposed a rule that prohibits transactions that damage the company's credibility. On the other hand, Valve, which operates Steam, PC Gamer, Yakutaku released statements for major overseas media, such as, according to an article on PC Gamer, Valve tried to contact MasterCard about this issue. No direct communication was allowed. That's what it means. The exchange was said to have taken place through payment processors and banks. Valve claims Steam's policies distribute content that is legal to dispute. However, the payment processor refused and offered MasterCard's Rule 5.12.7. This is a payment agreement established by MasterCard rules it is a part of. According to the report, the company prohibits illegal transactions, prohibited transactions that discredit or negatively impact the reputation of the company, it said. You're a bean counter. That's all you are. That right there is irrefutable in most cultures. Violations of the above rules include those that are obviously offensive, disgusting, and those that severely impair artistic value, such as disagreeing sexual acts, sexual relations with minors, and sexualization of people or body parts, disagreeable mutilation, bestiality. MasterCard says businesses that violate those rules may face penalties, including financial penalties. Valve has made it clear that it has been communicating with MasterCard regarding this matter. And here's the thing, MasterCard can impose all the penalties they want, but then someone's going to take them to court, especially here in America. Eventually, someone's going to have enough, and they're going to face courts about unfair penalties. MasterCard has not done things that are legal, and there's a long report of them doing things illegal, especially in Japan. To combat this, GOG launched its campaign against regulation of expression. They said also game sales platform GOG on August 2nd, freedom to buy. We are running a campaign titled, in response to restrictions on expression, a company implemented free distribution of 13 adult games. Actually, it was 14. More than 1 million people acquired the game into this campaign, which was limited to 48 hours. The implementation time was also extended, and it is possible to attain it to around 1300 on August 4th Japan time. Probably already gone now. The question of whether these restrictions on platforms by credit card companies has been a hot topic since around 2024, with the Dojin game sales sites being affected. This time, it can be said the impact of the global platform Steam has caused a huge uproar. Continuing on, this is the article that they cited. MasterCard deflects blame on the NSFW games being taken down, but says payment processors specifically cited MasterCard rule about damaging the brand. As we scroll down here, 2 weeks after Valve had confirmed it had removed a pile of NSFW games on Steam because of the pressure from credit card companies, and 1 week itch.io followed suit, MasterCard released a statement saying it allows lawful purchases. Right? It's an odd statement at first glance. While the content removes from Steam may violate laws in some countries, is fully legal in the US, objectionable and gross as hell in some cases, sure, but within the boundaries of the law. Apart from that, both Valve and itch.io explicitly stated that payment processors are the reason the games were de-indexed or removed. Methodology, it seems to be found in the structure of its operations. The company's website says neither an issuer, a merchant bank, nor an acquirer, a bank, credit union, or entity, blah, 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 but rather it provides the technology and network that powers transactions. In other words, MasterCard does not process payments. It facilitates the systems that do that. In the case of itch.io, the platform specifies its update on NSFW contact. Its payment processors are PayPal and Stripe, which supports a range of payment methods, including Visa and MasterCards, was the one the itch.io suspended the ability to pay with 18 plus content for the foreseeable future. Similarly, both Veritel, and C-Bill, which are recently recommended by the IGDA as alternatives to overly risk-averse financial partners that accept major credit cards as payment methods. In a statement provided to PC Gamer, Valve said that it tried to work things out with MasterCard directly prior to removing the games, and suggested that MasterCard did have at least an indirect influence on the outcome. MasterCard did not communicate with Valve directly, despite a request to do so, a Valve representative said. MasterCard communicated with the payment processors and their acquiring banks. Payment processors communicated with Valve, and we replied by the outlining Steam policy since 2018 of attempting to distribute games that are legal for distribution. Payment projectors rejected this, explicitly cited MasterCard's Rule 5.12.7 and risk to the MasterCard brand. You can see it here, which we already talked about. Regards to the role that skipping through this, regards to the role MasterCard played in all this, directly or indirectly, its clarification sure seems like a pressure is being felt, which, from a game perspective at least, is a good thing. Others have mentioned a public pressure campaign certainly seemed to work for Collective Shout, the Australian anti-porn crusaders who started this whole thing. Regardless of how the gears turn behind the curtain, there's no reason to think it can't work the other way too. So yes, Collective Shout went to Visa MasterCard and told them to tell Steam this stuff, and Visa MasterCard listened. And it's not stopping there. As the Gamer reports that adult games are only the beginning, Grand Theft Auto and Saints Row reportedly at risk of being delisted by payment processors. Now, I haven't read this article just yet, and we're going to read it live. Over the last few weeks, payment processors have been pressuring, which we've already talked about. According to the Zoom platform, this controversial delisting could go much further. A representative told Gaming Online X that during conversation with payment processors, titles like Grand Theft Auto, Duke Nukem, and Saints Row were described as potentially at risk, confirming worries that adult games aren't the only targets of this campaign. The quote here says that we have no plans to remove any titles and will do absolutely everything in our power to prevent such delistings. We are fervent supporters of artistic freedom and always will be. The Zoom platform was also urged to take down NSFW games with controversial themes, but explained it has no plans to remove any titles. Instead, it was exploring alternate payment options, which is what Steam should have done. One of which is a wallet system, which will allow users to add funds to their account and spend them on all our products. Similarly, GOG is refusing, instead making several adult games free for the 48 hours in protest. Now, here's the thing. In Japan, Visa MasterCard make it impossible for stores to allow cash or wallet-like systems. And if you have any rival credit cards they don't approve of, they will shut down your ability to do business. I'm not kidding. We've talked about this many times in the past week. 10 years ago, the Collective Shout campaign against GTA 5. Yes, they did. Payment processors first took notes of adult games on these storefronts because Collective Shout, an Australian political group that stands against objectification of women in media, founded in 2009 by feminist and anti-pornography activist Melinda Tankard-Rice, it has launched several campaigns against video games over the last 2 decades. This is nothing new. They've been doing it since the 80s. Not Collective Shout, but feminists in general, because they're ugly looking. Expired milk. Uterus all dried up. Eggs gone. And they're crazy with 40 cats. Yes, I love twisting that knife. Metaphorically. Continuing on. In 2014, it claimed that Rockstar's open world sandbox encourages players to be brutally murder women for entertainment, calling the game to be banned as it would be from several retail chains in the country. But they had no problem with men being brutally murdered. You notice that they say they're staying for women and children, but when you read their further blog reports and everything else, it's always about women. Women. So if GTA was killing men non-stop and it was women killing men, I wonder if they'd feel the same way. No, they won't. They'd be okay with it. They hate men. That's what feminist means nowadays. I think it's what it always meant growing up. I haven't seen anything to say that they weren't a colossal bitch, even as a child. As the group is the driving force behind the delisting campaign, it would certainly make sense that any game it has previously taken issue with, like GTA, would be at risk. This has been a major concern since it was discovered that Collective Shout was the one urging payment processors to take action. Players worried about that the LGBT games would be taken down due to their adult themes, and the titles like Duke Nukem would be targeted as they were already censored in Australia. While indie developers have little recourse against payment processors, billion-dollar corporations like Take-Two have far more resources at their disposal should their games be targeted. Regardless, this has only fueled concerns about what payment processors might take issue with beyond adult games. But what do you think, Peter? Do you think this is that Grand Theft Auto, Duke Nukem, and Saints Row is next on the list, the chopping block? Do you think I was right when I made that Liz Bistro censors Duke Nukem for collective shout video? Put your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, happy gaming.
Screaming loud, the Bistro's here to shake the crowd. Psychotic dragon ready.